Now, for those who need a more negative example, Scripture is always willing to oblige with both positive and sometimes negative examples to make the point. There is a story in Malachi, in the 3rd chapter. Malachi, the last prophet who speaks to us before the great silence, closing for us the First Testament as we have it structured in our Bible. Things are tough in Israel when Malachi is speaking, and he says this, would a person rob God? Yet you are robbing me. And you say, how are we robbing you? Well, in your tithes and your offerings. And here, the only place where I have found it in Scripture where God says, test me. The prophet on behalf of God says, test me, try me, see if I won't open the storehouse of heaven for you. If you practice the tithe, if you really trust me, if you really set about and give the 10% that I have called for, fill up the grain in the temple, make good on your commitment to tithe, see if I won't open the storehouse of heaven and bless you beyond your imagination. Here you're focused on what you don't have and you don't think you have enough to give. Trust me, there's enough. Give and see if you will not be blessed. Now, it's important to understand this is not about give to get. That's not what the prophet is talking about. Now, there are places where you will find that theology practice. You will not find it at the Center for Faith and Giving. We don't subscribe to the idea that we give to God so that God will then give to us as some sort of quid pro quo. We believe we give out of God in response to what God has done for us. What we have already received, that the abundance is already there. But the prophet Malachi is saying, look, just trust me. Let me prove it to you. Let me prove to you. If you will set this aside, you'll see you already have enough. And everyone will be blessed by that action. That's the richness of what it means to have abundance. And that is repeated for us in New Testament as well. When Jesus speaks in John 10:10, he talks about the thief who's come to steal and take away where he has come, Jesus has come, that they might have life and have it abundantly, richly, fully. And look at everywhere that Jesus is in the Gospels. Look at every place that Jesus is, there is enough. In the Gospel of John, we have that wonderful story of Jesus at a wedding in Cana of Galilee, where the water is changed into wine, and not just a little wine, but maybe as much as 160 gallons of the really good stuff. That to be in the presence of Jesus is to be in the presence of blessing and abundance and sufficiency beyond what one can imagine. Look at where Jesus goes in the Gospels and what he does. There's always enough. There's enough power for healing for the sick, enough power for lame folks to walk and run freely, for hungry folks to be fed. Look, in the presence of Jesus, told for us in all 3 synoptic Gospels, the feeding of the 5,000. Right through the church, he looks at the disciples and says, you give them something to eat. And Jesus, in this language that sounds very familiar to us, took, blessed, broke, and gave. And 5,000 were fed on a few loaves and fishes, with 12 baskets full left over. In the presence of Jesus, there is enough. That's the promise of the gospel. And we see it everywhere. In the presence of Jesus, there is enough grace, enough healing, forgiveness, for redemption. There's enough love in the presence of Jesus to overcome even death itself. We serve a God of great abundance, who has provided for us all that we need. There is enough. Our job is to accept that, to believe it, and to practice it. And then there'll be enough for everyone.